Good morning, ladies and gentlemen.
Good morning.
Thank you. It's May 22nd, 2025. My name is Mike Kelly. I am the Chair of the Board of County Commissioners for Johnson County, Kansas, and we are here for today's meeting of the Board of County Commissioners. I'd ask the clerk to go ahead and call the roll.
Commissioner Fast.
Aye.
Commissioner Myers.
Myers, aye.
Commissioner Brewer.
Brewer here.
Commissioner Hanslick.
Hanslick here.
Commissioner Ashcraft.
Here.
Commissioner Allenbrand.
Allenbrand, aye.
Chairman Kelly.
I'm here as well. All are present. If you'd all join me for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you all very much, and thank you for being at our meeting today. If you are here in person, if you join me in checking your cell phone or other noise-making devices, and make sure that they are turned to silent or turned off, we just appreciate your cooperation with that one. We're going to start today with our public comment portion of the agenda. It's an opportunity for folks to talk about items of county business that do not appear on today's action agenda. If you do want to speak on an action item, we do ask that you register in advance with that item. When you do come to the podium, we ask you state your name and the community in which you reside. Comments are limited to 2 minutes. There's a clock on either side of the dais that will assist you with that limit. If you happen to go beyond the 2-minute limit, we're going to ask that you conclude your comments. We do ask that commenters refrain from remarks that are personally offensive, impertinent, profane, or slanderous, and to please refrain from the use of offensive or indecorous language that would insult or demean any person. If we stray into that kind of public comment, we'll provide a warning. If it continues, we'll ask that you step aside from the podium. We'll call on the registered public commenters in the order that they registered, starting with Ben Hobart.
Ben Hobart, Westwood Hills. Chairman Kelly and Commissioners, my comments address your unlawful public safety sales tax proposition adopted in Resolution 052-25 at your May meeting. Under KSA 19-101A, home rule powers are specifically limited in subsection 7, which states that, quote, counties shall be subject to limitations and prohibitions imposed under KSA 12-187 through 12-195, and amendments thereto prescribing limitations upon the levy of retailer sales taxes by counties. I am of the confident opinion, based on 39 years of law practice focusing on taxation, that a court of competent jurisdiction, fully apprised of the facts, would hold that your public safety sales tax proposition is unlawful for the following reasons. One, taxing statutes are penal in nature and under Kansas case law are strictly construed. The interpretation of the phrase public safety in other contexts has no bearing on a taxing authority statute. Two, the legislature uses words for a reason. KSA 12-187-21, which authorizes the public safety sales tax, clearly indicates that it is for the, quote, construction and operation costs of public safety projects, and then references various facilities dedicated to public safety. The "and" is there for a reason. This board is unlawfully attempting to change the statute to solely support operational programs without construction. Your 2016 resolution was appropriately so limited. Your current resolution is not. Three, the legislature specifically defined healthcare services in subsection 5 of 12-187 to include, among other items, mental health services and emergency medical services. Your proposition unlawfully reclassifies those costs as public safety costs in direct conflict with the statutory definitions. There are other reasons your proposition is unlawful. It is truly distressing to see the board engage in financial shenanigans in a manner which, in my judgment, is a violation of the law. By doing so, this board demeans itself and its relationship with Johnson County citizens. Thank you for receiving my comments.
Thank you. Next is Charlotte O'Hara.
Good morning. And the weather continues to be just absolutely fabulous. But don't worry, looks like it's going to rain on Memorial Day weekend as usual. I again stand before you and ask of what value are these books that are described within the parental guide from Moms for Liberty, what value are these books to our children? I have submitted this book to be put in the record. If you do take a look at it, please beware that it is extremely graphic, and be very, very cautious as to who else, especially children, can view the content. The other thing that I wanted to talk about, that this was in the Wall Street Journal about the fire sale of a multi-story, I think it's 40-story building, office building in Portland. This is a cautionary tale for Johnson County. Their public safety, because of the woke agenda in Oregon, this building is for sale at, I think, 10% of its value. You might want to take a look at this. I mean, Portland is absolutely devolving into anarchy, and you need to be very careful as you go forward with your woke agenda to not bring the negative impacts that Portland is suffering to Johnson County. The other thing, I had a question. I looked at these documents on the other two public safety sales tax, and in 2024, the revenue was forecast at about $23 million on both of those, and with the forecast of the new one to generate $35 million, I just am curious as to what that differentiation is. So thank you.
All right, thank you. That's all the registered public commenters that we have for today. So we'll move on at this time to notes for the record. We'll be signing the following. Amendment 3 to the agreement with the Kansas Department of Health and Environment Division of Healthcare Finance for Outreach, Prevention, and Early Intervention Services to extend the original agreement from July 1st, 2025 to June 30 of 2026. We'll move on at this time to our business session, and I'll ask if there is a motion to adopt the consent agenda. Commissioner Hanslick.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move to adopt the consent agenda as printed.
Allenbrand, second.
Moved by Commissioner Hanslick, seconded by Commissioner Allenbrand. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Commissioner Fest,
Aye.
Commissioner Myers,
Myers, aye.
Commissioner Brewer,
Brewer, aye.
Commissioner Hanslick,
Hanslick, aye.
Commissioner Ashcraft,
Abstain on procedural grounds.
Commissioner Allenbrand,
Allenbrand, aye.
Chairman Kelly.
Aye, we have 6 in favor, none against, but 1 abstention on procedural grounds. Is that consistent with your count?
That's correct.
Okay. Well, the consent agenda, and maybe I'll ask for a point of clarification from Commissioner Ashcraft on the procedural grounds on which we're abstaining on the consent agenda.
Objections to adding nominations for committees without going through the process of agenda review.
Okay. Well, I think the proper means would be to remove those from a consent agenda, and we can take those as action items. In the future, I'd ask that you do so, and that way you can abstain maybe from those votes, but with a consent agenda, if there is not consent from the board, we'd ask that those items be removed as proper procedure.
Mr. Chairman, that is a fair suggestion, and I will take it into consideration.
Okay. Point of order for Commissioner Allenbrand?
Thank you, Chair. Can I make a comment or not?
Well, if you have a point of order, you can state a point of order. We're not going to make comments on the consent agenda, but if you have a point of order or for clarification, we can do so.
Okay. Well, I guess my clarification in the future, I'd like to see who the appointment belongs to in the paperwork.
Okay, well, I'm going to go ahead and deny that as just out of respect as a, point of order. That's more of a question or a comment or a desire, and we can deal with those outside of the actual vote on the consent agenda. A point of order, Commissioner Brewer?
Yes, I have a point of order question. Is it permissible to abstain from a consent agenda?
Under the Chair and Commissioners, under the rules of order, we have that When you abstain, you indicate the reason. I believe the chair inquired of Commissioner Ashcraft, which he put the reason because he was objecting to the procedure for the appointment to boards. At that point, I presume that's, if that's a valid reason, he at least states a reason, that's what the rules indicate. But at this point, because of the other items, is he abstaining because he thought the procedure at the proper time today was to do it that way? So at this point, I guess I'm talking in circles, it's fine.
Thank you.
All right, with that, and with all points of order clarified, we'll close the vote on this, and the consent agenda is adopted. We'll move on at this time to the reports and communications from our county manager, Ms. Post Oak Ferguson.
Good morning, Chairman and Commissioners. First item, I will ask Robert Sullivan, who just walked in, Director of Corrections, to come forward and talk about a peer exchange. And we were asked to present our person-centered supervision model. And so Robin's going to highlight this. We have a few pictures of the visit as well.
Good morning. My name is Robert Sullivan. I'm here on behalf of the Department of Corrections. So, as Penny referenced, we did a site visit in Savannah, Georgia to look at an innovative supervision philosophy that they've been employing there for their state called person-centered supervision. And it reinforced a lot of the initiatives that we are trying to employ here in Johnson County with our community corrections program. It also provided us with a number of tools in how they are fully integrating this approach. And so we use evidence-based practices, as does Georgia, but what we have done is, or what we're attempting to do is to take a more integrated, make it fully integrated, and make it more sustainable for the way that the reality of supervision in the state of Kansas today. So with some of the barriers that we have, whether that be funding or whether that be with maybe standards or statutes that might need to be revisited, we're trying to figure out how to work within that framework and modernize our community correction supervision program. So our visit provided us with a firsthand look at their model, and we felt that it was very practical as well as transformative. And it's designed to relieve officers from excessive paperwork and instead emphasizes meaningful engagement with the individuals they supervise. We're finding that here in Kansas, we have just a lot of administrative tasks that are required to do to comply with state standards, and it really takes away from that meaningful impact that we want to have with the individuals that we supervise. So the other thing that they do very well is we want to make a pivot from office-based supervision to more field-based operations. And so we're really interested in how they take evidence-based practices and apply that to real-world conditions that people face. Field-based supervision is very important because it gives you more of a uncontrived information about a probationer's true environment. And then when you get that information, it allows an officer to take that and act on that information and connect them to effective care in a much more timely manner than office-based supervision does. So how does this model differ from what we're already doing? So as I mentioned earlier, we're already moving in a similar direction. We're currently trying to determine the optimal level of supervision based on risk and needs. Georgia takes that step further by restructuring workloads, reallocating officer tasks, and prioritizing officer-probation relationships. How would this improve public safety? This approach allows us to connect individuals to effective care more quickly than what I think we're doing today. Stronger relationships between officers and probationers will foster trust. It'll improve compliance, and our hope is that it'll help reduce repeat offending. At the same time, it equips us to act swiftly when someone is unwilling to change, and we feel it positions us to better help and protect our community. What would implementation look like here in Johnson County? We would selectively integrate the parts that make sense for Kansas, such as shifting more supervision into community and reducing administrative burdens. We've already started testing some of these ideas here locally, but some of the barriers would be the state's record management system and our inability to pull data from that. And I also referenced the Kansas Department of Corrections standards as well as some of the current statutes that are on the books. Would this require more funding or more staff? Not necessarily. Georgia reallocated existing resources and utilized technology tools such as virtual check-ins for low-risk probationers. We're exploring similar efficiencies, but again, we're going to have to collaborate with the Kansas Department of Corrections. And then finally, how does person-centered supervision fit with our broader criminal justice strategy? We think it aligns perfectly, supporting our investments in data systems, problem-solving courts, and resource tools like My Resource Connection. It'll help us deliver the right supervision to the right people at the right time. And with that, I'll stand for any questions.
Thank you very much. Sounds like a well-worthy trip, and the opportunities to provide innovation and utilize data that can protect county resources but also improve outcomes. I appreciate the possibilities for implementation here in Johnson County, and thank you very much for sharing with us. Other questions, Commissioner Brewer?
So one, I just want to commend having served on CCAB and Community Corrections Advisory Council and the Criminal Justice Advisory Council for over 7 years, and now Juvenile Correction Advisory Board. I appreciate the innovation and I appreciate the dedication that I've seen in corrections over those 7+ years. And listening to your presentation, you've always been on the cutting edge of making sure that we're thoughtful of how to do best practices. It sounds as though some of the things that you'll need may be some changes to state statute. Do you foresee potentially having something around the time that the Board of County Commissioners is putting together a legislative platform, having any recommendations that you might want to see on the platform that align with some of the changes you're trying to make?
That's very possible, Commissioner. We have already started to reach out to the Kansas Department of Corrections. And in fact, if there hadn't been a conflict, we were going to bring the Deputy Secretary with us to Georgia so that she could see it as well. And so I'm very optimistic that the state of Kansas will be a good partner in this potentially collaborative effort with them. So, but to your other point, there very well could be an opportunity as the board looks at its platform that there could be some items that we would submit for that.
I'll look forward to seeing that. Thank you very much.
Commissioner Hanslick.
Thank you. Well, I'm very excited to hear about this new possibility for corrections, and it reminds me of how I'm so proud of Johnson County and our approach to incarceration and corrections, that we've always looked at how do we help people become productive members of society rather than a focus on a punitive approach. And I saw that back in 2012, under the leadership of United Community Services of Johnson County embraced trauma-informed care. And I remember I was the director at Safe Home, Domestic Violence Agency at that time, and in those trainings, we had law enforcement, we had corrections, we had people from all kinds of different organizations, and I was so impressed by the willingness of corrections to embrace trauma-informed care. And so question I have is trauma-informed care, TIC, still part of what we do at corrections, and how might it dovetail with this? It seems like it would dovetail well with person-centered supervision model.
Yes, trauma-informed care is still very much a part of what we do. We always want to take that into account as we're developing. What we try to do is when we develop case supervision plans, we want to co-create those supervision plans. And so our officers are always mindful of the role that trauma plays, especially with those engaged in substance use. It's typically a coping mechanism for trauma and things like that. So, yes, it's still very much a big part of what we do and something that we take into account as part of our supervision of individuals.
Great. Well, I appreciate that. I remember Johnson County was a national leader in implementing those trauma-informed care principles in many areas of our county. So good to hear.
Thank you very much, sir. Continued report.
Yes, Robert, thank you. The next item is a Board of Zoning Appeals variance decision. And you may recall from these in the past that we typically bring these through manager's memo because the board can take action. Recommendation from staff is not to take action, but give you a summary. On May 14th, the Board of Zoning Appeals approved a request for variance to allow for a 15-foot front yard setback when 25 feet is required and 0-foot rear yard setback when 5 feet is required on property located at 15689 Lake Road 5 Street and zoned PRU 1B, which is Planned Residential Urban Single Family 1B District, to allow for the reconstruction of a single-family residence. So there's information in the packet. And the planning staff recommends that the board take no action, thereby allowing the BZA decision to become final on June 5th. Planning staff, Michelle Leininger, is here if you have questions. If not, Chairman, I'll move to the next item.
Are there any questions regarding this? All right, let's move on to the next item, please.
Okay, next item, I will ask Laura Brewer, District Court Administrator, to come forward to highlight the inaugural Adult Drug Treatment Court graduation.
Good morning, Board. Laura Brewer, District Court Administrator. On May 15th, so last Thursday, our Adult Drug Court, who's I think going to be rebranding as Adult Recovery Court, held its inaugural graduation for 2 treatment court participants who completed all program requirements. There are currently 23 additional participants in our drug court program, many who attended the graduation. These 2 participants were very successful. Excuse me. One of them started our program with 2 changes of clothing and 1 pair of shoes and ended the program with his driver's license, a car, his own place to live. We've been very blessed to start a clothing closet that includes clothing, toiletry items, hygiene items in the courthouse for our treatment court participants. Our treatment courts are growing. They're very successful. I want to thank the county for your partnership in these programs. Our partners include the district court, Community Corrections, the Sheriff's Office, Johnson County Mental Health, a connecting point, the Public Defender's Office, and Private Defense Counsel. If you have any questions about our treatment courts, I'm happy to stand for questions.
Well, first of all, let me be the first to say thank you and congratulations on this innovative program. And thank you to the court as well, Judge Ryan, everybody who has dedicated time to innovating this program that would improve outcomes, better utilize court resources, and best serve the public. And so incredibly proud to have supported the continuation of drug court, and let's see if we can't use this as a tool and enhance this tool moving forward to reach those better outcomes for all involved.
Thank you, Chair. Judge Ryan would have liked to have been here today. He's in jury trial this week.
Details. Commissioner Ashcraft.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I second everything you said, but an incidental question. If someone wanted to make a donation to the clothing closet, how would that be done?
You can contact Barbara Strobel, who's our treatment court coordinator at the courthouse, and she'd be happy to accept that. I would also note that May is Treatment Court Awareness Month, and our treatment court teams, combination of all of our adult treatment court teams, met yesterday at the courthouse and prepared 300 lunches for the homeless in cooperation with the Church of the Resurrection. And we also have a large team going to the All Rise Conference in Florida next week.
And one follow-on, if I may, Mr. Chairman. How will we be able, or will we be able to provide long-term assistance, I don't want to say monitoring, but support as individuals reintegrate into the, I'm trying to be politically correct, but to reintegrate into the community fully, will there be any long-term intervention?
I think the special part about treatment courts is that we're a wraparound model. And so because we're partnering with the Mental Health Center and community providers, those are agencies that these participants can reach out to after they complete the court. So it's not just court personnel, it's not just corrections or court services working with them, it's truly community providers as well. And we also have a network of treatment court graduates, particularly in our Veterans Treatment Court, where there are mentors involved, past participants involved, who can also help people on the other side once they complete supervision requirements.
Thank you.
And Commissioner Allen Brand was next, followed by Commissioner
All
Hanslick.
my comments have already been taken care of, but thank you, and thank you for all the work you do.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you, Commissioner Hanslick.
Thank you. I want to say a special thank you to Judge Tim McCarthy because, again, going back down memory lane, I remember when he advocated for the Veterans Treatment Court, and there were a lot of hurdles to get through to have that come to fruition, but that kind of opened the door for these other kinds of treatment courts. And so I just want to give a shout out to him. He was very dedicated in ensuring that Johnson County offers these kinds of specialized courts.
Thank you, Commissioner. I'll pass that along. Judge McCarthy truly was sort of the innovator, and he originally started wanting a drug court in Johnson County, and it sort of morphed into Veterans Treatment Court as he went along, and that really has become the standard to which our other treatment courts strive to achieve at this point.
And Commissioner Burr.
I just want to echo my appreciation, especially since it is treatment court special time month, did you say?
Yes.
So I think about the purpose when we think about the end result of our public safety, recognizing that the vast majority of folks who interact with law enforcement and are adjudicated at some point in time are coming back into our community, and thinking about the long-term success for the community and for the individual. I feel that that's where that treatment court really can center its success. I also appreciate the recognition that in these treatment courts, it's the partnership of law enforcement, the courts, and local agencies coming together in a holistic approach that wraps around the individual, that really creates that pathway for addressing the issue, monitoring the issue, resolving the issue, and going on to self-sufficiency. So to speak to Commissioner Ashcraft's question, I think it is creating those foundational relationships with community agencies and the role they play in promoting public safety and partnering. It makes a big impact. So thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Okay,
right.
Laura, thank you, and I will highlight the other specialty courts. I know you referenced a few of those, but just to remind the commissioners, because you've heard of various specialty courts, what was mentioned was Veterans Treatment Court. We also have Juvenile Drug Treatment Court, Adult Behavioral Health Court, Adult Drug Treatment Court, Adult Behavioral Health Court, and there's probably more that I've left out, but that shows the criminal justice community, our various departments. Laura mentioned all those, including mental health and corrections and sheriff, DA, et cetera, and partners that Commissioner Brewer mentioned. But we are really best practice, and a lot of courts across the country have asked, how do we do it in Johnson County? So Laura, thank you to you and the judges for your leadership. Next item is to let you know that there is an open house coming on Transportation Connection Plan. The study team for the Transportation Connection Plan will be hosting an open house Wednesday, June 11th from 5:30 to 8 at DeSoto City Hall Gymnasium. The recommendations from the study for the reconnection of Astra Enterprise Park, as well as other supplemental recommendations, will be presented. Both Adam Norris and Brian Pedig are here if there's questions. Staff will be available to discuss these recommendations with the public. And I do want to add that the information for those recommendations will be shared at the May 29 board meeting as a report. So with that, Chairman, that concludes my report.
Well, thank you very much for the report. We'll move to Commissioner comments at this time. We'll start with Commissioner Allen Brand.
Oh, thank you. I just wanted to applaud Mr. Pedig for all the work that they've done, and then having these public meetings. I think it's so important because no matter what you do, there's always going to be somebody that's not happy, right? So, it's been an ongoing study, and I really appreciate it. So I wanted to kind of give a rehab. If you want to donate to the Aspen Apartment Group. Their Hope Market is handling all that through them, which is a non-for-profit. You can donate food to their pantry. You can also donate financially to help towards getting people into the apartment. So just wanted to let everybody know that was going on. Did a preview plan of the Transportation Connecting Plan, and I'm excited about the open house on that. I attended the Gardner Leadership Luncheon, and Josh from our airport graduated from there, so that was a good program. Also attended the Olathe Chamber Business Luncheon, and they had a panel on the World Cup, and our own Josh Powers was part of the panel, and he did a great job. It was good to get that information and see the countdown going, and so you can go on the website. I'm sure that we have that information if you want to volunteer. It's quite the process, even volunteering for that, which I just think that the county and everybody that's been working on this, the work that they've done and how much farther ahead than they are in any other state. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Commissioner Ashcraft.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, just one committee report. The Community Corrections Advisory Board met earlier this week, and the focus of this meeting had to do with success rates reported to KDOC, and I'm happy to say we do a good job of developing and maintaining those reports on an annual basis. Part of the discussion was about the longitudinal over time, how the people who go through the program are successful. That was part of the reason why I asked the question, how does it go over time to make sure that it's long-lasting support? That's a challenge, and staff is well aware of it and is working on it. The other two items I wanted to mention, Mr. Chairman, was this past weekend, Project Search graduation occurred. 9 individuals, which was the 11th class, graduated, and Commissioner Hanslick did a fabulous job of welcoming them and recognizing their contribution, and I want to thank her for that. And finally, Mr. Chairman, yesterday, and I don't want to steal the thunder from Commissioner Fast, but Dennis Patton, who was a former K-State Extension employee who passed not too long ago at an early age, was recognized by a sea of purple volunteers. The community really came out in support of that. Commissioner Fast spoke eloquently, knowingly, and personally about both the K-State program and Mr. Patton, and I commend Commissioner Fast for her remarks.
Thank you very much. Commissioner Brewer.
Yes, I was happy to participate in celebrating the 50th anniversary of MEDAC yesterday. It was interesting to see some of the artifacts from the early days of that service, and to listen to the past directors going back from all the way back to 1975, and the heavy lifts that happened to make our MEDAC services what they are today. Also was happy to participate in the draft plan rollout of Spring Hill Safe Streets for All to residents last night, and that goes on to City Council this week. So I'm looking forward to that continuing. They've done a great job at identifying priority projects in 3 phases, short-term, medium-term, and long-term, and those opportunities not only within the city itself, but also opportunities within county roads surrounding Spring Hill and some state KDOT opportunities. We also did election certification this week, and it makes me thoughtful of we were raised in my house that your most basic responsibility as a resident is to vote and to be active in that. And so it's always hard to see when we have policies around voter access that could limit or impede people's ability to vote. And in this case, with our mail-in elections, there's a hard noon deadline on the day of the election that all ballots have to be in. So it's always hard to see when there are some ballots that came in, but were past that time. And it makes me thoughtful of some of the uncontrollables. One is which in a mail-in ballot, whether you're doing it during a normal election cycle or during a special election cycle, the big uncontrollable is once you put it in the mailbox, right? Not only getting the ballot that's mailed to you in a timely fashion, but then making sure when you return the ballot that it gets delivered in a timely fashion. So just want to underscore the importance of making sure that all residents have optimum ability to exercise their right to vote. And then finally, I appreciated the Prevention Coalition held a naloxone training last week that I attended. I appreciated seeing so many different agencies in attendance, making sure that not only is this available, but how we use it, that we are informed and trained. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Myers.
Thank you, Chair. Last night, I attended the Johnson County Parks and Recreation District meeting. I also attended this week the Theater in the Park restroom construction project ribbon cutting. One of the most fun ribbon cuttings I've ever been to. And cutting the ribbon, which was toilet paper. Very innovative. I even got to walk away with the centerpiece from the celebration, and it was a little plastic toilet. It was really good. The troupe from Theater in the Park did a song and dance presentation. It was really good. I also attended the 50-year MEDAC anniversary reception and learned a lot of history that I did not know. And so that was very valuable to hear and go to and celebrate. The Dennis Patton dedication garden at the Sunset Building, and I will say Commissioner Fass was fantastic and just did a great job. And it was very exciting to spend a lot of time with people wearing purple. And I don't know, but I would guess 150 plus showed up for that dedication, maybe as many as 200. It was really well attended. Also attended the vote canvass for the Spring Hill School District mail-in ballot, and I believe it was 134 ballots that did not get counted. And I along with Commissioner Brewer, just wish that people need to understand if you're using mail to send a ballot, you have to give it time.
Commissioner Fast.
Yes, this week, some friends of mine organized an event to educate people on the Medicaid cuts. They had over 100 people at Chicken and Pickle. I'm just so inspired to see all these Johnson Countyans turn out to hear about what they can do. I spoke about the impact to my brother with Down syndrome. I'm very worried. The House GOP package passed 700 billion cuts. Many people will lose their Medicaid. It still has to go to the Senate, so there's hope. Senator Hawley has been speaking out against it. But just very worried about that for our mental health recipients, our persons with intellectual disabilities. And the new garden gallery for Dennis Patton. What was interesting, we have the largest Master Gardener program in the state and in the nation. We have more Master Gardeners in Johnson County than combined anywhere in the state. So we have 460, and all the other Master Gardeners in the state equal 400. So one of the best programs in the nation, in the state, due to Tara, Dennis, and our staff, and just really a testament. I mean, 9 demonstration gardens, which I love going to. And so just really, we should be proud of what we have. I'm very proud.
Thank you very much. Commissioner Hanslick.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Well, I won't mention some events that have already been mentioned, Project Search and the MedAct anniversary. But I did want to mention a couple of other things. First, at the MARC, Mid-America Regional Council Total Transportation Policy Council on Tuesday, we had a really interesting presentation from KC Smartport, which is part of the, excuse me, part of the Kansas City Area Development Council, and they focus on helping to bring industrial and manufacturing companies to the metro area, and a lot of interesting information about how attractive this area is to those companies and why they come here. Secondly, last Friday, I had the opportunity to speak at the Reach Healthcare Foundation in regard to the initiation of a program called Welcoming JoCo, and it's part of a national nonprofit. It's called Welcoming America, and it's a movement of inclusive communities becoming more prosperous by ensuring everyone belongs, including immigrants. And I look forward to sharing that information with Commissioner Myers, because I think it's something the DEI Coalition would have a lot of interest in. And that is it.
Thank you very much. A lot of great events, so I won't rehash all of them. All to say that the 50th anniversary of MedAct, we have a phenomenal MedAct service. The opportunity to have the best possible outcomes in an emergency is something that we hold very dear in Johnson County. And the people who are on the front lines, those paramedics, those drivers, there's a real humility to this group. And that's one of the values that they have stated in MedAct as one of their 5 core values is humility. They could be thumping their chest, or they could be much more active, demanding more for the services that they provide. But that humility that they provide in the service and the integrity there is really worth mentioning. And I'm very appreciative of that. And I think everyone who works for MedAct know that you have supporters here on the board that will make sure that you have the equipment and the tools necessary to not only keep you safe, but to provide the best possible outcomes for our residents in Johnson County. I also wanted to give a shout out and a thank you to Dan Robeson and the emergency operations team. In the storms this week, they were here hard at work, making sure that our community remains safe. And if you live in Northeast Johnson County or other areas with mature trees, this was a storm that required people to get out into the street and help drag logs out of the roadway. And we always get 1 or 2 of those a spring. And it's nice to know that there's folks that are coordinating emergency response as necessary during those times. So thank you to Dan and his team. And I wanted to take just a minute this morning to take a moment of remembrance and silence for Sarah Milgram, an Overland Park resident who was murdered last night at the Israeli embassy in Washington, D.C., in what appears to be an act of political or religious violence. So our thoughts are with her family, and we wish that her memory remains a blessing to them. Thank you all very much. That concludes the items on our printed agenda. Unless there's an objection, we'll go ahead and adjourn this meeting, and then we will ask the court to reset the technology for an agenda review. We are adjourned. Thank you.